and welcome to the next topic. 2 years ago, I came to Saudi Arabia for the first time. I came directly with my wife and 2 kids, and we really appreciate the welcome here in Saudi Arabia. The focus, what we are addressing here, is the future of sustainable mobility, and very important, we're talking about NEOM. And what is mobility at NEOM? NEOM wants to be a global living lab, so it should provide the environment so that startups, that companies can come there on the spot and bring their technology up to life. Is it switched on? NEOM. Let's have a look. Where is NEOM? We are here, has the map of Saudi Arabia. NEOM is in the northwest of Saudi Arabia, directly at the Red Sea. And, very important, it has an international airport. So you will see, starting June this year, there will be a direct flight from the NEOM Bay Airport to Dubai. And it was mentioned yesterday already, coming soon a flight directly to London. Very important for us, it is based on 100% renewable energy. You all know in Saudi Arabia we have a lot of sun, of course also in NEOM, but also here we have a lot of wind. So especially for people who like kite surfing, it's a fabulous environment, and of course for the energy generation, also during nighttime, this is a very, very good power source. When we talk about NEOM as a global living lab, we have several components in mind. And the first thing is, here we want to bring the latest technologies. For example, on the left-hand side, autonomous shuttles. On the other side, we see flying taxis. We call it eVTOLs, electronic vertical takeoff and landing. And what we want to do is that we bring all these mobility modes together so to get a very inspiring and, of course, sustainable transportation. Because when we have a look to many cities around the world, this is a picture which we have in mind, and I think we all agree. Many cities are not designed for citizens, it's designed for cars. You have all the roads and it's optimized how you can go from A to B and so on, as you can see it here. And as it has been announced in January last year, what are we doing at NEOM? It is, next slide please. We are building out a city. One slide back please. Exactly. We are building out at NEOM a city which is built for citizens, and it is called the Line. You can see it here from the west part to the east. We will have a city which is not in a shape of a traditional grown city, it is along a line. And what is a big benefit? We can have many ecosystems along this line, and with a core objective that by design it is very engaging and very comfortable for people to get from A to B. What does it mean? It is shown in the next, this is one slide back please. Just one slide back. It is very, very important when we keep in mind, when we design a new city, that we have different pillars, that we have different components which help us to make it sustainable. The first thing is here, of course, the urban design. By urban design, when we talk about mobility, our core objective at NEOM is to avoid unnecessary mobility. We all have in mind, when we are coming from all over the world, you have to jump into a car, and you're part of a traffic jam for 1 hour and so on. But this, in a greenfield approach, as we do it at NEOM, we have the possibility to avoid this by more or less 100%, because our objective is that everything what you need is reachable in less than 5 minutes. So it means where the apartment is, where the workplace is, where the school is, where the supermarket is. All these things are so close to each other that we don't have to jump into a car as we all know it. On the other hand, of course, to make this possible, technology is very important. We all know during summertime it can be quite hot, and then the question is also a distance of 5 or 10 minutes can be long. Here we want to support with technologies like autonomous shuttles. Here we want to support with e-scooters, with electric bikes and so on, depending what the customer prefers. And on the other hand, of course, land use is a very important topic. I know who has been already at NEOM, who knows NEOM already in person? You, of course. You as well, or you haven't? It's an amazing environment, and we have a very, very clear target that we are using it very carefully and that we only utilize a very small portion of the land so that we keep this amazing landscape accordingly to explore. Next slide, please. Next slide. How can we do this along the line, the transportation? Here we will see 3 different mobility modes. On the one hand, it's a high speed, because in the west, on the east and the west part, we have the Gulf of Aqaba. Very interesting for the hotel sector. It's a very, very nice place, coral reefs, and of course for kite surfers, a lot of wind. On the other hand, we have the new NEOM International Airport, which will be built out over the years. And here the question is, how can we connect it? And here it is a high-speed train on the one hand side for the long distance, and then of course in between different development areas, a metro system. Very important, in the south of NEOM, we have the so-called Oxagon. Oxagon is the industrial city part of NEOM, and here we will have a connector between the line and the Oxagon. Very exciting, of course, it was announced in November, end of November last year, is a collaboration which we have together between NEOM and Volocopter. Volocopter is an air taxi company from Germany, and here we are bringing this technology together on the spot. Very important for us, we are addressing here 2 different air transportation modes. On the one hand, it's for the short distance, so it means up to 40 kilometers, and there's a second version of a Volocopter where you can go even distances for up to 160 kilometers. Another collaboration which we have in place with a Swedish company, it's called X-Shore. It's a fully electric boat, and by the way, we have already the first of these electric boats in the water. It's very nice because when you step in, you hear nothing, and then you just press the power button and it accelerates, and it's so silent, and just you have the speed. It's a very, very inspiring experience. As mentioned, it is very, very important. We have different mobility modes, and at NEOM, our objective is that you're not just ordering, now I need a car, or now I need an e-scooter or something like this. No, we bring together with our colleagues who are focusing here on tech and digital, that we have a digital integration of all these mobility modes. And when a customer wants to go from a point A to a point B, then this optimization problem regarding what is the best option, should maybe it's the first 2 minutes to walk, then maybe an e-scooter, then afterwards a car, and so on. To solve all these things is exactly only possible of this full digital integration, which is enabled via the digital platform. And at the end, to the customer, it will be very, very simple. You have just an app, and in the app, you give the information where you want to start, where you want to go to, and then it gives you the appropriate options. Very important, we all know there are some different capabilities to do things. For example, kids maybe cannot go with an e-scooter, and these things, exactly these components are fully reflected in this. And here, of course, before it was a discussion about loyalty program and also the question, how good I understand the customer. I think here we have a very, very big shared interest. The better we understand what the customer really wants to do, the better we can provide the service together. Let's see here. This is the mobility strategy which we have at NEOM, our objective is really to bring all the dots together, because we have the unique situation that we're building up something really completely from the scratch. Really, we can design it. So we are not binded to specific things which are already given, and then we have to transform it. And our objective is here to provide a global living lab. Here you see the different examples which can be then actualized along the line. Here, what I have already mentioned, the connector between the line and the industrial city. But very, very important, you have seen a few weeks ago, there was an announcement regarding NEOM Mountain. It's called Georgina, which is located here. You know, there are other areas here on this side, Gulf of Aqaba. There are a couple of development areas. And the question is always, how can we provide the best mobility option as expected by the customers? And you see, along the line and along the connector, of course, it will be mainly rail-based when we go for longer distances. But of course, when we are here along the coastline, along the Red Sea, or along the Gulf of Aqaba, we have also the capability to do it with motor mobility. Very important for us, it must be in steady state, so in 8 years' time, everything fully sustainable, carbon neutral. So here we are mainly focusing on battery electric, but of course also hydrogen electric topics. And then you can see some lines here across. This is exactly where the air mobility at NEOM comes in accordingly. For us, it is very, very important that we are seamless, the whole approach, so that we take always in consideration which assets are available and which are appropriate, and that the whole experience for the customer is, it's great to use these assets, and of course to experience mobility modes which maybe they haven't experienced somewhere else in the world before. Here, we see an example of such a seamless customer journey. So at the beginning, as mentioned, just use the smartphone. At the beginning, when we do it at NEOM, where are we? We do it, for example, to book a car or to book a scooter, but now we integrate it step by step. Then the next thing is we want to engage and support that people are active, that people who want to walk, especially during winter time, can do this accordingly. Then step, for example, to an e-scooter. We have already the first e-scooters at the NEOM community, and the people who live there love it exactly during summertime. So convenient. It is to utilize them accordingly. Then when the GMT system, so this means the public mass transport, comes in place, to shift on this, and then of course at the end of the journey, for example last mile, to go with the autonomous shuttle then to the final destination. And very, very important, we are developing it in a step-by-step approach. So we have already, as mentioned, the e-scooters on the spot. We have already the cars on the spot and these components. And the more the mobility on the water and in the air will come up, it will be included accordingly. And to demonstrate you what we have already on the spot is here, for example, an example with an autonomous shuttle, which you can see, which is, please. Can you do it once again, please? Exactly, this is the autonomous shuttle. Who was already in an autonomous shuttle from your side, by the way? Who has experienced it? So when you haven't done it until now, it's a good chance. We have 6 of these autonomous shuttles in operation at the NEOM community. And of course, when we have the look, then when we go to the water, I have to wrap up the session, a nice video also when you want to be on an electric boat on the Red Sea. The first 2 electric boats on the Red Sea, please. Yes, so to summarize, what means mobility at NEOM? Mobility at NEOM means 100% sustainable. So it means that the whole power generation is based on solar and wind. On the other hand, it means that we go on the whole mobility which we have on the ground. Most important, that we have mainly active mobility, that by urban design everything is so nearby that it is walkable, or you can do it with an e-scooter or an autonomous shuttle or a bicycle. But of course, to connect the airport with Gulf of Aqaba and the development areas in between, as well as to the industrial city, here we mainly focus on a high-speed rail system, on the one hand for passenger transportation as well as for goods transportation. And then when we look a little bit more to the future, for us, of course, it is so important to bring the cutting-edge technology for the transportation on the water as well as in the air to NEOM. And very welcome when people have ideas, oh, there's a specific mobility mode, what you want to explore, there's a specific technology, there's a specific startup which you have seen, which could be appropriate. The good thing is at NEOM, we are building up an environment, a digital environment, so that we have all the data, that we have the whole accessibility to the data given, so that it is for entrepreneurial people, that it is for people who have an idea, you want to try out something, very, very easy to get access to this data and to elaborate, is it really possible, what has to be adjusted, so that this technology can really show the full capability. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, please. Thank you, Dr. Felix. Does anyone have any questions?
Just out of curiosity, do you guys have an urban airport plan for NEOM? The drones?
Of course, there will be several stations, especially along the line and in the development regions. So it means, for example, at Oxagon or Trojena or Gulf of Aqaba. So that then, over this last few kilometers, can be covered also with air mobility. The starting point, what we have, I've mentioned now we have an international airport, is already existing. It's very close to the Royal Palace. It's a NEOM Bay airport. In the next steps, this airport will become much, much bigger. And then in the further development step, in the so-called Hisma Desert, in the east part of NEOM, we will set up an additional national airport.
I have a question. When is the first experimental passenger trip in a Volocopter at NEOM?
Within the next 3 years. And when you raise your arm and say, we want to be one passenger, I want to be, I can connect with a NEOM colleague. I trust the technology.
Any other questions before we wrap up? One more at the back there.
What's the background to the line? Where was the concept? Based on your... Sorry, thank you. Based on what you were saying earlier about, the traditional cities of the past, what have you taken from that to decide that the line is the way forward?
Mm-hmm. And here is really the connection between the international airport, which is planned in the Hisma Desert, then to the Gulf of Aqaba, and the topic, the concept that we build out ecosystems along the line where we really by design have this big benefit that everything is very, very close. And the nice part is the people who work already at NEOM or people who live there already maybe for a few days, we already experience this now on a day-to-day basis. Because in the communities where we live, everything is so nearby, and honestly speaking, I'm a car guy. I worked in the automotive industry for more than 15 years and I love cars. But de facto, during a week, I never use a car because there is no need. Everything, what I need for myself, what I need for the family, what I need for friends gathering and work, of course, is so nearby that I don't miss it. Of course, it's a weekend. It's very great to go with a car, especially then off-road to the Hisma Desert, for example, or Gulf of Aqaba and these places to explore. But this is exactly the idea behind that you have these ecosystems where you are during the week and then you explore in your free time.
I have a question. How far do you believe NEOM will set a global benchmark for mobility for the future? Do you believe that others around the world will look to what you've done and replicate it?
With the information we publish and where we say here, we build up this ecosystem in the next 1 to 2 years, and this whole ecosystem is existing from a data point of view. So already by today, I say, companies should be aware and see, oh, this is the area when I want to try out, and there are so many reasons why maybe in an existing ecosystem it's very challenging. Here, the data availability is given, the people want to experience, people are pioneers who really want to try it out when there is a new technology and give a direct feedback, what is great, where is maybe room of improvement. So I think this is now the time to do it and to agree on and to elaborate over the next 1 to 3 years.
Thank you, Dr. Felix. Well, thank you, Dr. Felix, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our morning breakout session.